103.3 KFR. Good morning, it's Dana Marshall. We have someone joining us this morning. We are talking about water with Ron Jansen. He is with the City of Kalamazoo, the Water Waste Operations Superintendent. What exactly does that mean? What do you do?
Well, my job is, basic job is to protect the Kalamazoo River. And so we run treatment processes. We remove pollutants out of the wastewater that comes down to us, and then we discharge clean water to the river to protect the river that has to meet federal standards and permit standards. So that's what we do. It's a lot of fun.
You've actually grown up in this area.
Yeah, I grew up 2 miles from here, just up the hill, and so 60s and 70s, the river wasn't always as good. Wastewater treatment wasn't always quite as good, but so I had that history, and then in 1981, I started working here at the plant, and so I've been here over 38 years. Boy, it's been a privilege just to watch the improvement. There's a responsibility to actively participate in the improvement that we've been doing here at the plant over time, and to me, it's fascinating work.
What is that process like?
Well, we've got a 3-step process down here at the plant. We've got 4 main pollutants that we're going to remove with the 3-step process. Organic pollutants, like we call it biochemical oxygen demand. It's something that this organic load that comes in depletes oxygen in the river, so we want to keep it out of the river. Ammonia will do the same thing. We want to remove ammonia. Nutrients like phosphorus that cause nuisance plant growth in the river, and then total suspended solids. We don't want sediments in the river or turbidity in the river, so we remove solids. So those are the 4 things that we remove, and we do it as a 3-step process. First step we call primary treatment. It's basically a physical treatment of screening and settling. So we have bar screens and fine screens that will trap things that come down in the water that people put in the sewer. You've probably learned a little bit about these wipes that just don't break down as good as they say they do. We have to capture those, and sometimes they don't even make it here if we're not careful.
I've seen so many videos popping up lately of the problem that people flushing wipes is now causing all over the country. A lot of people don't realize how big of a deal that is.
Yeah, it really is, and we're encouraging people not to do that. No wipes in the pipes we talk about. Same thing with grease and oils. You know, if you pour those down, they'll clog drains before they get here and cause a lot of trouble. So yeah, those are things that we got to deal with, and that would be our message. No wipes in the pipe.
I like how it rhymes. It's like a rap song.
Yeah, something like that. And so that's primary treatment. We screen those things out, fine screens to get little bits of plastic out that have caused us trouble, and then we slow the flow down. We remove grit by slowing it to 1 velocity, and then we remove anything else that's organic that'll settle just by slowing the flow down. So you remove 62% of the solids just by slowing it down and screening it, letting it settle. And then there's still a lot in the wastewater that won't settle, that needs to be removed, so we go to secondary treatment. That's a biological process of aeration and settling. So what we're doing is creating an environment for microorganisms to thrive. These microorganisms will consume our soluble waste in the wastewater and clean it up for us. So we give them what they need. We give them oxygen for respiration. We mix them up and keep them suspended with the air in the tank, and we provide them with the food, which is the waste that we want to remove anyway. And Kalamazoo is unique in secondary treatment because of the waste load we have, too. With pharmaceutical waste coming down here and some volatile organic compounds coming down here from industries. We add activated carbon to our plant. That protects our biomass from these things that come down and buffers against those things coming in. That's what happens in the aeration tank. The bugs consume the waste, and then we put them into a clarifier. And again, they'll settle now. And the settling sludge that settles at the bottom is full of microorganisms. We bring them back. We return them to the aeration tank. And clean water goes off the top of the clarifier to the last phase of treatment. Just a little polishing step. We call it tertiary treatment. 95 to 99% of the waste has already been removed inside the aeration tank in clarifier. So we polish it by running it through sand, catch any solids that might not have got through, and then we disinfect it with sodium hypochlorite, 15% bleach to try and kill bacteria. And then we got to remove the chlorine before it goes to the river. So we add sodium bisulfite to remove the chlorine, and we discharge about 28 million gallons a day to the river to try to meet our permit limits. And do a pretty good job of that, actually.
It is fascinating how much work and science goes into what we are dumping down the drain.
It is, and this is fascinating work. You never know what might come down the drain, too, so you've got to be ready for anything down here. But the fun part is Kalamazoo's got a long history, Dana, of good water. Last year we were between 97 and 99.3% removal for those four parameters that we just talked about. 30 years in a row, we've averaged 99% removal or better. We're pretty excited about it.
It's a dirty job that we're glad that somebody cares about. We're happy that you're doing it, Ron. Thank you. I really appreciate the work you do and coming on the show to tell us about it.
Well, my pleasure.
That was Ron Jansen, the wastewater operations superintendent for the city of Kalamazoo.